Hello and welcome back to the Wildly Thriving channel. Our guest today is Veda Leclerc. She is a dedicated functional health practitioner and an integrative health coach on a mission to guide individuals from the shadows of their health challenges into the brilliance of finding their inner glow. Having faced her own struggles navigating the ins and outs of the medical system, Lyme disease, crippling anxiety, depression, cystic acne, and much more, Veda understands the darkness that can cloud one's being. She is committed to bringing light to others' health journeys and has established Wellness by Veda, offering personalized one-on-one coaching, employing a holistic whole body approach. With the insight gained from her own personal struggles, Veda addresses mysterious symptoms, often dismissed as normal, empowering clients to unlock their inner glow. Through her wellness business, she aspires to be a beacon for those feeling lost and sick, guiding them towards the light at the end of the tunnel and demonstrating that true wellness being is within reach. Welcome, Veda. So glad to have you on the show.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. I love having you on, and I love having a fellow FDN on the show finally. So much fun. We're going to get into the weeds of the FDN methodology, but I would love to hear a little bit more about your own personal story first and what guided you to becoming an FDN and getting into this space.
Yeah, so my health journey kind of started in when I was in high school. I started experiencing some really bizarre symptoms. It started off with random skin rashes all over my body, especially on my skin, and I didn't really know what it was coming from. I had gone to the dermatologist. They were like, your skin's dry, use a better moisturizer, and that did not work. And a couple months after I started getting the skin rashes, I got extremely sick, and I first thought it was just like some strep throat, and I went to urgent care, and I got to urgent care, and long story short, they were taking my blood pressure. I completely went unconscious for like 30 seconds. I was completely out of it. I woke up to doctors screaming in my face, and an ambulance bed was now rolling into the urgent care room. I was so confused. They put me on the bed, brought me to the ER. They did a bunch of different testings on me. I was very, very weak. I remember being at the hospital where I literally went to the bathroom and I passed out in the bathroom, and doctors had to bring me back to the bed. And I got all this blood work testing done. They tested me for everything under the sun. Everything just kept coming back as normal. So they were like, you probably just have some sort of virus. I went home. I ended up being bedridden for a week. I was literally crawling to the bathroom. I had no appetite. I had lost 20 pounds. I was out of school. I was very, very sick. Well, I ended up getting my energy back, and I went back to school and all the things. Well, just 2 months after that, the exact same thing happened. I got extremely, extremely sick. I went to the doctors again. Everything kept coming back as normal. They had no clue what was wrong with me. I literally had felt like I was hit by a bus. I had never been that sick in my life. And it lasted about a week or 2 weeks. I lost another 20 pounds, and I was just absolutely miserable. And this time, what was different is I started to experience not only the physical symptoms, but also the mental as well. There was one night where I just woke up in the dead of my sleep, and I started having a panic attack, and I had absolutely no clue what was going on. I remember screaming to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I don't know why I feel this way. And I just went into this major panic attack mode. I fell back asleep, whatnot. Well, that one panic attack led to daily panic attacks for almost a year. I was not going to school. I was not going to my sports. I was not hanging out with friends as much because I literally was terrified of having a panic attack if I went out. And the frustrating part was I had no clue what was triggering it. Like, I didn't feel depressed, but I was, and I didn't know what was causing it. And that also started a journey of my hair was falling out in clumps. I was bloated all the time. I was going to the bathroom once a week. My skin was breaking out like crazy. And all the symptoms just started piling and piling on top of each other. Again, no doctor could figure out what the heck was wrong with me. And this went on for about a year and a half before my mom was like, you need some help. Like, we at one point thought I might have cancer because of how much hair was falling out of my head. And luckily at the time she was working with someone in the functional space, so she reached out to her for me. We got connected. We got some blood work done. everything was super duper imbalanced. So she put me on like a little protocol. I did that for a little bit, did some elimination diets, didn't really feel any relief. So she's like, okay, we need to dig a little bit deeper. So this was now the year of 2020. I was going into college and I got a call from my doctor. You tested positive for Lyme disease. And I was so excited, which sounds crazy, but I was so desperate for answers and no one could give them to me, that when I finally was told why I was feeling the way that I was feeling, it was a absolute breath of fresh air. So that kind of led me ultimately to my passion of functional medicine, because I went undiagnosed for so long. I couldn't just do a quick round of antibiotics. I had to literally do a 360 to my lifestyle, take herbal supplements. And before this, I had no care about health. Like, I didn't work out. I didn't care what I was putting into my body. So it took a lot of change, and it was gradual. It didn't happen overnight, but I started feeling so much better. So that encouraged me to listen to podcasts in the functional space, to follow people on social media in the functional space. And I'm like, wow, like this stuff actually works. So that, through kind of healing myself and that healing journey, it sparked the passion of, you know what, I want to do this as a career. So that's kind of why I pursued FDN like you did as well. And now I have my own practice helping people find their inner glow, to kind of show them that they might be in the dark place mentally and physically, but they can get to the other side.
Yeah, Lyme disease is a trip. It's so intrusive, and the way that it acts in the body, it will spirochete into bones and it will be dormant. So that's how it tends to, because you said that you had a little bout where you got your energy back, you were feeling kind of normal for 2 months, and then did you know if there was like a stressful period that re-triggered that? Do you even remember?
Honestly, I think there was, if I'm really thinking back to it. I was playing ice hockey at the time, and there was a lot of drama with me and the coach and all of that. And I think that really triggered a stress response, which likely reactivated my immune system to kind of have that same sickness occur.
Yeah, 100%. And when your cortisol is up chronically, your immune system will get suppressed. And that's when the spirocheting virus will come out and start to wreak havoc. And what's coming from that, like the virus, is it's not necessarily the virus itself, it's the endotoxins and the bacterial byproducts that it's releasing that is causing the full body aching, the fatigue. You feel drained because your body is constantly trying to put out all of these little fires, because I mean, essentially, they're just kind of pissing and shitting all over your body, like that's essentially what's happening. So Lyme disease is a very severe illness, and I would say all of these people that have diagnoses of fibromyalgia or lupus or these chronic fatigue syndrome diagnoses, I think a lot of them are related to Lyme or either mold. Speaking of mold, have you ever dealt with any clients that have been exposed to mold?
I have, yes. And I feel like before we even test mold, I just can suspect it based on their symptoms. Like you said, a lot of autoimmunity can be stemmed from that, chronic fatigue, brain fog, or the clients where they're like, oh, I've done everything, but nothing's working. Or the clients where you get their GI map back and they have everything flagged in red, and you're like, I think there's a little bit of a deeper issue going on.
Yeah, 100%. I have a very thorough process when I'm doing my intake. And the very first section is actually on mold, and it's screening for that. And all of the questions have like logic jumps to them. So it's like, okay, were you ever exposed to a moldy environment? Well, let's ask a little bit further there. Okay, was there any condensation building up in your space? Because a lot of times people are unaware that they even have mold in the house. They come to you and they have no idea, but they have this room in their house that doesn't have proper ventilation in it. And usually the symptoms that I'm looking for are, do you feel worse after going to bed in the morning? Do you have a lot of lung tightness? Do you have a sinus condition? Do you feel like you are very sensitive to chemical smells and things like that? There's very specific symptoms that you will get in combination when you're exposed to a moldy environment, just with how it basically interacts with the immune system. So to jump back to the Lyme, I did have a question about that. So how long was that whole process from the time that you got sick to the time that you got better? How long did it take for you to recover?
So it took me about 2 years to get diagnosed, and then I would say it took me about 2 years to finally feel a relief in my symptoms. And if I'm being honest, the number one thing that helped with was nervous system. Like I was eating healthy, I had cut out gluten, cut out the inflammatory foods. I was doing all of the typical health foundational things. And yes, that helped a lot with a lot of my symptoms, but I still had a lot of the Lyme lingering symptoms. And it wasn't until I started like living in alignment with my circadian rhythm, I started really working on nervous system, where that is where I was like, oh wow, like I don't really feel like I have Lyme anymore.
Yeah. Would you say that, like, what was like the number one tool that you used to repair your nervous system? Because I think a lot of people online are talking about this, calm your nervous system, do this, you know what I mean? But they're very vague. So like, what is the actual like technique or thing that you did consistently that actually moved the needle for you?
Yeah, so back then, living in alignment with my circadian rhythm, I think at the time was the absolute best of waking up with the sun rising at same time every single day, going to bed same time every single day. Your body likes routine, and when I started establishing a routine, my body started to feel safe, and your body can't heal if it doesn't feel safe. So that was really helpful for me. Also, just journaling was really helpful. Affirmations, claiming my body is capable of healing, because when you're in a chronic condition, sometimes you lose hope of like, am I really ever going to heal? And your cells listen to your thoughts. So really, really reaffirming that is important. And what I've learned going through my nervous system journey is that like we get to the root of our bloating and our acne and our fatigue, you need to get to the root of why your nervous system is dysregulated. If you are someone who is like, oh, I am worrying about the future, what's the root of that? Where is that coming from? Because we can change our external environment and we can try to control like our schedule and get rid of these things, but you'll notice you're still worrying whether your schedule is jam-packed or whether it's not jam-packed, because you need to get to the root. And when you get to the root, that is when all those external things make that much more of a difference.
Absolutely. And it's a process, and people just have to accept that, when we incarnate onto this planet, the point is to live out an experience of our choosing. And sometimes that experience requires a lot of pain and overcoming and challenges. So, you're not going to just read a book one day or work with a coach for a few months and figure your whole life out. Sometimes we come from a very dark past and we have a lot of belief systems and programming that we adopted that is going to take not just a couple weeks or a couple months to completely overcome. And that's not to discourage anybody, but it's just encouraging people to understand that it's a lifelong experience. It's not as simple as just following one, measly program. It's not like our programs aren't going to be effective. Like our programs are designed to give you a framework so that you can get out of the crisis that you're in right now and then be set up for the rest of your life, okay? We're gonna teach you how exactly to eat in a way where it is the best for your bio-individual needs, your human design, because somebody that is born in Africa that has, their ethnic background has evolved for thousands of years eating specific foods is going to thrive very differently from a specific diet than somebody that is born in the Middle East, okay? It's a completely different, your gut microbiome is very different. So you have to treat it as such. So you need to be treated on an individual basis, and these like general, guidance that you see online, like this is healthy for you, these foods are healthy for you, and all these people are trying all these different things and they're not seeing success with it. It's because you're not addressing you, and you're also not listening to your own body. Is that something that you tend to teach in your practice too, is like building the self-awareness around food?
Oh, 100%. I always tell clients the best thing that they can do is become in tune with their body. And sometimes, like, one of the things I do encourage a lot of is to remove gluten. And sometimes I have clients and they reach out to me and they're like, "Oh, like I'm going on vacation. I really want gluten." And I'm like, "Go have gluten and tell me how you feel after." And how they feel, that's like their motivation. They come back to me and they're like, "Oh my God, I felt horrible. I can't eat gluten." And sometimes that's what they need because it's teaching them to listen to their body versus just me telling them what's good and what's not good. And that's where that true empowerment comes, and it allows them to take everything they're learning for the rest of their life, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like gluten is a bad guy, right? It's what gluten is riding along with. It's homies, right? The pesticides, the bromide, the fake yeast, like if you're eating real traditional sourdough bread, it's properly fermented and you are in a healthy state, you can absolutely eat that food and have zero reaction. But if you've got SIBO or you've got very low bacteroidetes and firmicutes and you're not able to actually digest that food, or maybe you have leaky gut and your gut wall is compromised, it's very leaky, any type of gluten is going to be labeled as like an antigen and your immune system is going to react to it and you're going to get inflamed from that food. So, that's why I don't know where you're at with this. I don't know if you still do the food sensitivity test or not, but that's something that I chose to stop doing. And instead, I decided to focus my clients on pulse testing and actually building that self-awareness with food on their own to save them a little bit of money, number one. And also, number two is like, I don't want to implement any fear around specific foods, especially when I already know that, yeah, you might be sensitive to that food right now, but it doesn't mean you're going to be sensitive to that food forever. Once we go through this repair process and the reinoculation process, you can get into a position where you're not sensitive to that food anymore. You know what I mean? And if we build that association early on, then, you know what I mean? Then people tend to avoid certain things that are actually could be very beneficial to them.
Yeah.
So,
I That's my philosophy as well. Is I hear all the time like people reach out, "I want to do food sensitivity testing." And all that's going to show us is, okay, why do you have so many food sensitivities? You probably have leaky gut. You probably have SIBO. You probably have candida, and we need to address that first, and the food sensitivities tend to go away naturally. And I know for me, before I even did any of the GI map testing and the testing that we learned in FDN, of my doctor did do food sensitivity testing. And even though that was like over 5 years ago, I still have a fear of eating some of those foods because I'm like, "Oh my God, that food was on that list." Like, for example, cashews was on that list. And now every time I eat cashews, I'm like, am I going to break out? Oh my God, am I going to be constipated? Am I going to be bloated? Even though my body probably doesn't even think about cashews in that way anymore. But it does create this fear and it creates an unhealthy relationship with food.
100%. I'm so glad that you're on the same page because, you know, we're taught that, you know what I mean, as like our foundational labs, but I don't think it has to be involved anymore. I think you can get way more valuable insights from, testing the mucosal barrier, right? Do you have leaky gut or not? What's your
Mm-hmm.
zonulin looking like? And then all of the inflammatory markers on the GI map. And that's all I really need, and we'll go through a process where we will eliminate the bad guys. If they're actively reacting to that food, okay, we'll pull it out. Like recently, I have a new client. He got exposed to mold 10 years ago, and he's been going through a healing process working with like the best people, and he's still not feeling well. Like his energy's still off. He's got a lot of brain fog, and we just identified a lot of things that he was doing within his nutrition. He was eating healthy foods, but he wasn't eating them in balance, and he was having
Mm.
coffee first thing in the morning, and he was just basically exacerbating the histamine response. So he had gotten diagnosed with MCAS or whatever, and then he went on this carnivore style diet and like completely eliminated carbohydrates, and then he slowly started introducing like honey and fruit or whatever, but he wasn't reacting well to things like sweet potatoes. It would bloat him really bad. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to go on a long stretch with zero starch, you're going to lose those microbes that are going to break that down. And we just got his GI map test back, and he has like no bacteroidetes or firmicutes. That's horrific. That's a
Mm,
very bad sign, and that makes sense why he was responding a little bit better on the meats and not so much on like the starchy carbs. It's because there was nothing to break it down and assimilate
right.
it. And that's probably why he's a little bit more like flabby now, like he's not really
Mm,
building muscle because those are responsible for breaking down the proteins as well.
mm-hmm.
So many valuable insights that you get from these tests, and people are like wigged out when you hit them with the cost of them. But it's like, dude, it can literally change your life, and you don't have to get these over and over and over again. You know what I mean? We don't have to do a GI map every 3 months for an entire year. I can get enough insights from that. Usually, I don't know how many retests that you do, but like usually I have people on a 3 month or a 6 month program, and we'll do one retest, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all we really need. And I just have built such a strong base, and they have established so much self-awareness that we don't need to do all these retests. So how about you? What do you
Yeah.
do with yours?
Mine's the exact same way. Of mine is typically like a 6 month protocol, and then after the 6 months, I leave it up to them. I'm like, do you want to retest? See where you're at? Great. If you feel like $1 million, we don't have to retest. And I think that it is like you say the price of a gut test or any sort of functional lab test, and they're like, nope, I can't do that. But let's just add up the amount of bills you're gonna have in the medical system like over your years, and you're not going to get any answers. You've been there, you've done that. Like you might have a little bit more hope, but you're not getting answers anytime soon. You're only getting prescribed medications, you're only getting a hefty medical bill. That's it. So like a cost of a GI map once a year is going to transform your life. And I know for me, I tell people all the time, like when I first invested in this stuff, like yeah, it's a little scary, like the medical system has doomed me, all this stuff. Now every health gadget, I'm like, take my money. I'm like, I know you work, so just take my money.
It's an investment, and that's what I always like to say is like, okay, you are telling me right now that you don't have the energy to spend with your 5 year old daughter. How many more years is she going to be 5 years old? You're going to miss these years and be really upset later on in life that you didn't choose to invest it's honestly, in the grand scheme of things, it's such a small amount. Like
Mm,
we'll put up loans for cars and all of these like frivolous things, like a freaking new TV, but you're not going to spend it on the health so that you can have those, you know, you can't even put a price on it, right?
mm-hmm.
Those indelible moments with your children, with your family, with your friends. You're not going to do that. So it's like you have to put it in perspective for people. It's like, hey, this isn't just another test. You're not going to go to your conventional doctor and they're just going to shoo you away. I don't know how much time that you spend on the investigative side and like really putting the lab data together to like give an individual protocol, but I spend hours just researching and putting their whole health history together to see, okay, what exactly is the cause of this? So I'm not just throwing mud at a wall and hoping something sticks, It's like we're strategic, we're targeted, and I'm not going to waste any of your time or your money, and you're going to be very thankful by the end of working with me that you chose to do this, but there's that sticker shock that people are like really, concerned about. So you just have to remind people.
Yeah, yeah, you do. You have to really emphasize the value in it because it will change your life.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, especially with these with people, I feel like I can't really bring on people that aren't already making healthy choices and that don't want to adopt a lifestyle because, as they say in FDN, it's a opt-in model of self-care, right? So you can't just, want the results of like a GLP-1 type of situation. It's all areas of your life need to have some fine tuning in order to get the result that you want, because your lifestyle is what is causing the health issue. And that's the harsh reality that a lot of people, they have a hard time accepting that,
Yeah,
unless
for
they're really
sure.
chronically ill.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see that time and time again with people I talk to, even with like my clients when they start to work with me, is that we live in a world where we like the instant gratification, we like the dopamine hits. And this program and your program as well, it's not that. It's not a quick fix. It's a life changing transformation. Like if you really think about the times where you took one dose of probiotics or you took one dose of a random supplement, yeah, you may have felt great in those 30 days, but guess what? All your symptoms came back. If not, maybe you have even more. It's the same with following a certain diet for 30 days. A lot of the times the symptoms come back. It is a literally ongoing everyday decision to commit to your health, because there's a reason why you're feeling the way that you're feeling today, and we need to make sure we prevent that from ever happening again, and that starts with your lifestyle habits.
Yeah, 100%. The foundations, like when I really started to actually practice what I preach, like I had my morning routine that I like to stick to, but I didn't stick to it all the time. You know what I mean? Because I had, a relationship that wasn't so great for me that, would pull my attention away from my own self-care. And then I started to get more sick, like I started to get dysregulated. But since I removed that and I've been on the dot every morning, I wake up right as the sun is peeking up, and it's like instantly every morning I have that little bit of joy because I have the most beautiful view right outside my window, and I get to watch the sun come up over the mountains and, journal and clean up my space, have my little moment, my few hours to myself to get my mind clear and set the tone for the day. And a lot of people aren't doing that. They're waking up instantly to chaos, crazy alarm, and you shouldn't, you can't just do that to your nervous system and expect that you're going to have optimal health. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, a lot of people underestimate the power of the nervous system. Like they want a supplement, they want whatever they can do, but they don't want the nervous system work. They don't want to have to sit still and deal with whatever their emotions or whatever. But I have realized through my healing journey, through the clients I work with, nervous system is key. It's like a family tree. It's at the tip of top of it, and everything else, like your gut health, your minerals, your hormones, are going to continuously fall out of balance if that nervous system isn't in a good place. And we do live in a world where it's like rush, 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 and busy and never sitting still and always doing. And similar to you, when I established a morning routine for myself, oh my God, it changed my life. Like my morning routine is something that no one can touch because it's my favorite part of my day.
Yeah, like I was on a podcast last night and I was like, all right, I'll only come on if I can leave at a certain time. Because I was like, I don't like to wake up late. Like when the sun is already up and I feel behind, it's just like, okay, now I'm rushing through everything. I feel scattered. And especially as somebody with ADHD, I don't know if you have it or not, but it's really hard to manage yourself when you don't have that groundedness in your life. Like you will, your life or your day will run you. You ain't running your day. So yeah, it's definitely a struggle with things like that. But there's definitely things that you can do. And I don't know. I think that's the point of having these talks. And I'm really loving our conversation, is just to remind people is like, you don't have to live that way. And it might seem like there's a lot of sacrifice involved and that you have to make a lot of changes. But once you actually start to see the benefit from these things that you are so resistant to, you grow to love them. It just becomes a part of your life, and it's just ends up being a knee-jerk reaction to just do the things that you need to do instead of like forcing yourself to do it all the time.
Yeah, that is so true. Because like I mentioned earlier, when I first started my health journey, health was not in my dictionary. I did not care anything about it. And now I love it. Like, I don't want to go back to eating all those inflammatory foods and processed seed oils. I don't want to go back to staying up till 2 a.m. Like, those days are in the past. And if you would have told me back then where I'd be today, I'd be like, no, like, I'm not cutting out those foods. I'm staying up late. I'm doing all the things. And you start to feel how good your body feels mentally and physically and emotionally, and you crave it. So yes, it does take that discipline at first. It takes that sacrifice because it's change. You're completely doing a 360 to your lifestyle. But once you establish that and once you start seeing results, you are not going to want to go back to the habits that you were once doing.
Unless there is a belief system of unworthiness
right.
behind it that's driving you, that's pulling you back. There's a lot of times our ego really just it really sticks a knife in our side, and sabotages us. So that's something that you have to reflect on. If you're doing a program with someone like Veda or myself, and you're finding yourself not showing up to your calls, or you can't, follow the program, or you're lying about following it through, there's a deeper problem there. And that's why I always preface, before anybody even signs up with me, I'm like, hey, I don't expect perfection from you at all. I expect your best effort, but over the next 4 weeks, this is like our trial and error period, right? We're learning about ourselves, and we're identifying patterns. So we're going to see what belief systems are actually driving you to be in the position that you're in right now. Why did you choose to smoke weed all day, every day? Why did you choose to eat the unhealthy food instead of what was on your meal plan? You know what I mean? We need to figure that out. And I can't help you if you're coming to the call, like pretending like you did everything perfectly, but in the background, you've got all this shit going on, So it's just a part of the thing, part of the plan. You gotta.
Yeah, it's so important to recognize that. And just working with my clients, I've realized how important nervous system and the mental side of things are, because I can tell them all day long to follow my protocol and do this, but if they have a deeper root inside of them, they're going to choose the fast food over their healthy diet, or they're not going to choose to meal prep, or they're not going to choose to take their supplements. And the question then becomes why, of like, why are you feeling that way? And that's why your belief system, rewiring your mind, like subconscious thoughts, is so, so important in any part of healing journey.
Yeah, it's huge. Like, there's so many different things that can be going on. You know what I mean? You could be stuck in a shame cycle. You could be a perfectionist. You could, just have a lack of purpose in life. A lot of people struggle with that. They just feel lost. Like they don't have anything that really fills their cup. Or they're just not doing the simple things that can make them build self-pride. A lack of pride is really, what kind of leads you to becoming depressed, a lack of expression. What are you creating? What are you giving to the world? That's the whole point, is to love, connect, experience, create. And if you're not doing those things, you're not going to feel well. You're not going to be good mentally at all. So that's something I give my clients. I always have them fill out self-concept worksheets and identity work. And we use visualization throughout the practice as well, or throughout the program, so that they can also get out of that thing that you said as well. When you were going through your Lyme disease, you start to feel like my body is broken. I don't trust my body. I don't feel safe in my body. Anything I do doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I'm doing all these healthy things and nothing's working. But when you start to visualize and you start to remember, okay, well, when was my body in its healthiest state? I have all my organs. I have everything here. My body's capable of healing and regenerating itself. I even have them watch certain movies. Have you ever seen the movie Heal?
No, but I've heard about it and I've been told to watch it.
Yes, everybody should. And I always encourage all of my clients to, if you're going to spend any time watching TV, that's a movie that you should be watching. Because what it does is it gives hope. And without hope, like, you're not going anywhere in life. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be religious, but I think you have to have some kind of faith, something to, look up to, whether it's an idol in your life, or maybe it is God. It doesn't matter. You have to be looking for that, and just know that there's something greater than you, that has a bigger plan. And even if you're in a moment or a situation where you're in crisis, that is shaping you. It's calibrating you, right? Because when you pray to God or whatever, you don't ask for all of it to go away. You ask for strength. That's how it goes away, because you're being tested right now and you're being challenged right now, because there is something on the other side. We wouldn't be functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners if it wasn't for our own suffering. You went through that Lyme disease that was like about a 4-year stint for you. 4 years of your life you suffered because of what? Because now you get to offer something so beautiful to the world. And now you get to wake up every day with a smile on your face and just super excited and passionate. Yeah, you might have a fully booked day and it may be a little stressful, but how much of a blessing is it to wake up every day and get to help others? That's what fills my cup. That's what satisfies me. When I have days where I don't have any calls, that's where I'm the lowest. I've noticed that. I've journaled about that, and it's like if I'm not interacting with people, that's a problem for me. I'm a healer. Like I have to have that interaction. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
I have to
I
have it.
love that. And it's so important too. I think when we go through any sort of suffering thing, I mean, even when I was in the depths of my Lyme disease, I was like, why is this happening to me? Like, you just want to get out of it. But instead of asking why, it's like, what is this teaching me? And there's so much value that is learned out of so many different hardships. And we wouldn't be here today, like having this podcast and helping so many people if we didn't go through that. And I always tell people, like, I would go through that again if that meant I got to do what I'm doing today. And you don't think that in the moment, like, at all. You're like, oh my God, this sucks. Like, I don't want to be here. What the heck is going on? But there's so much value in it. And if people can change their mindset of, like, what is this teaching me? What is this showing me? And almost being exciting. Like, okay, if I'm suffering now, like you said, there's something really good on the other side. And just like having something to look forward to and have that hope in is what's going to really motivate you to keep on going.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the pain always has a purpose. It's just like with in bodybuilding, right? When you're going through a tough workout or when you're feeling that hunger when you're on a cut, it's like, ooh, okay, the muscle is coming, the fat is being released. These are the things that we can get excited about. And there's certain things that you can do. And there's certain things that you can think and say to yourself to kind of trick your mind, because your mind is always going to want the easy route, always. That you have to understand what the programming is, and the more that you learn about the body and how the actual human design works, then you can figure out ways to overcome that human design, because it's going to hold you back. Your ego is going to hold you back, and your body too. Your mind will quit way before your muscles do. And I don't so much believe in like hardcore training anymore. Like I do one heavy session a week. That's all my body can take, or else I'm going over on my cortisol. But when when you can get into your head and kind of coach yourself through that thing, just like a few more, you can do it. Just the simple words, you can do it, instead of I can't. The moment you say I can't, you're gonna drop the weight. You're done. But if you can remember and be self-aware enough when you're going into a movement like that and say, I can. I know I only got 10 last time. I'm going to try to get 12 this time. You know what I mean? You can be your own little coach in your head, and you can apply that to anything in life. You know what I mean? Just like with the tasks that we have to do on a daily basis. It's like, oh, man, got a lot of labs to evaluate today. It's going to take a lot of work. I'm probably going to be sitting here for a while. But you know what? I get to help somebody heal today. So I'm going to lock in. And, I'm going to remember to take a movement break. I'm going to hop on my mini tramp, take a little movement break, get the lymph moving, hop right back into the next one. There's things that you can do. You don't have to suffer through your days like most people are.
Yeah, for sure. The mind is just so powerful. Like, mindset is truly everything. And when you can get your mindset down, like, your physical healing is going to be that much better. You're going to have that much bigger of a transformation. And I wish people understood that more, of like truly working on their mindset, working on their nervous system. And that is going to just shoot them to the stars. Like, they're going to have so much goodness that comes out of it. And like you were saying about kind of tweaking the wording we speak to ourselves, is like anxiety and gratitude can't exist at the same time. So if you're feeling anxious of like, oh my God, like this protocol, it's overwhelming, or this meal plan, or holidays are coming up, how am I going to stick to my health diets, or whatever it may be, I'm so thankful that my body is capable of digesting food. I'm so thankful that I have access to food. Like, switching it in that perspective, it sounds so silly, it sounds so simple, but your cells are listening to your thoughts, and it will have a profound effect on your mental and physical health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you ever listen to Joe Dispenza?
Yes.
He's incredible. I feel like everybody in this space has been
Yeah.
listening. You have to. Like, he's like the OG guy.
Yeah.
But It's crazy what he's doing with his experiments now, and like he's really applying science to it. And now it's becoming undeniable. Like you cannot deny that prayer works, and I'm not even like, I'm not a super religious person. I think the older I've gotten, the more closer I've gotten to the idea of God or whatever. I have a very different, belief than most do, because I think that a lot of the Bible has been a little bit distorted and manipulated in order to control people. But I do think there's a lot of value that it provides as well. But the fact that he proved that getting all of these people in a room together and praying together on one thing can literally cause a miracle to happen is insane. And like he's measuring the brain waves and everything. It's just like, it's not woo woo anymore, people. Can't tell me that no more. Okay. Like what we're doing is like real shit. And like, I don't know, the arguments that I get into online about like the people that are on the other side, like in the medical system and that are super into like the studies and stuff. It's like, dude, you cannot just look at a study. There's so many variables, and like with the seed oils, I literally want to lose my mind on these people. Like I had some guy, we were battling on the comments. I don't do this anymore because that was definitely dysregulating me. But battling on the comment, I'm like, dude, like you're just looking at a study that's very isolated, right? And the seed oils that they're using in these studies are not the seed oils people are eating out and about. Like when you go to a fast food restaurant, they're using a seed oil that probably has, honestly, contaminants in it, pesticides, and it's being heated all day, every day. And who knows if they're changing the oil? You know what I mean? So you're consuming all of those oxidized fats, and that's why it's not calories in, calories out. Lord, save me with that conversation. Science bros, I literally want to lose my mind. I would like to hear you chime in on the psycho. I would love to hear you if you have an opinion.
Yeah, the good old calories in, calories out. I have mixed feelings about it because yes, if you're at a point like in your fitness journey, like that can play a role, but your calories in, calories out, 140 grams of protein, and you're eating this processed chips and protein bars and my McDonald's cheeseburger, it fits in my calories. It's like that is causing so much inflammation in your body. And yeah, if you're doing this calories in, calories out, and you're cutting a significant amount of calories, you might experience some relief because it's a shock to your body. But let me tell you, like, eating that cheeseburger every single day from McDonald's, that's going to catch up to you in a year, and then you're really going to need one of us because your body is going to hit a plateau. It's not able to lose weight anymore. It's going to start gaining weight, and it's so much more than calories in, calories out. You need to look at the ingredients. Like, that is top tier what matters, and if you're eating whole foods, like, you really don't have to worry about over exceeding on your calories.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I have not tracked a single thing. I have not measured a single gram of food since 2022, since I stopped bodybuilding. And it was the most freeing experience I've ever had. I absolutely love my body. I have so much freedom. I no longer have body dysmorphia. I no longer have an eating disorder. Like just from that one simple thing with having parameters around the food that I eat with, being high quality, making sure it's balanced, obviously always protein in every meal. I just have certain principles that I stick to, but I don't track anything. I don't hyperfixate on, oh, I can't have that. Oh, there's something on my food sensitivity test. I can't have it. Like I eat whatever I want, just within those confines. But like, even when I'm out on vacation and there's no organic grass-fed beef available, it's not like I'm not going to eat the food. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not going to feel as great from it. But at the same time, I'm not going to restrict myself in any way. And I don't think people really understand just how damaging the restriction is and just focusing in on the calories and not the quality of your food. I think if people understood a little bit more about how like these oxidized fats are impacting the redox system in the mitochondria, I think they would start to be able to wrap their heads around the idea that, oh, okay, I don't think seed oils are that great for me. You know what I mean? Because our whole body the whole system. Where do you think the skin on my fingers comes from, the hair on my head, like the saliva in my mouth? It's from everything that I ingest. So if I'm ingesting an oil that is oxidized, rancid, inflammatory, has free radicals in it, why would I want to build my cellular structure with that? It's like building a house with toothpicks and Elmer's glue. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
it's not gonna work out, buddy.
I know.
Uh,
I could talk about seed oils all day long. That is like a no-no for me. Like seed oils, oh my God. Don't tell me vegetable oil or canola oil at your fast food restaurant is healthy for you. Like it's so processed. There's so much damaging things that it does to your body. And as you were talking about like the calories in, calories out, and we were talking about earlier about we want our clients to become in tune with our body. And I think that when we're so fixated on the calorie count or the macro count, it really takes away being in tune with your body. I used to track macros and I would catch myself. I'd be hungry, but I'd be like, oh no, I can't eat because my macros are telling me this. And you start to have a rule, like something else is telling you what you can and can't eat, rather than, oh, I'm a little bit hungry. Oh, I'm due for my period. I should be eating a little bit more calories right now. And really listening to that. But when we focus so much on the calories, it takes away that empowerment in our body.
oh, 1000%, 1000%. Yeah, it's tricky getting people to that place. I mean, I was just speaking with an old friend recently, and he was saying that I hadn't seen him in 4 years, and we both were into bodybuilding at the time, and he was kind of asking for my help because he's like, I'm always in pain, and I had an eating disorder, and I bring my scale with me everywhere. And I was like, oh no,
Wow.
oh no. And it's just like, it's sad to be chained by that, like, because you don't have to live that way. You know what I mean? There's options out here. Um, so yeah, I love this conversation. This was such a good talk. I love chatting with you. I can't wait to have you on again. Hopefully, we can do that case study that we were talking about beforehand. Me and Veda were chatting earlier about diving into some of our previous clients and bringing up some of their, obviously we'll keep it anonymous, bringing up some of their lab testing and kind of showing behind the scenes how we work as FDNs, because it is a bit of a complex process. There's a lot of work that goes into it. But essentially, it's just understanding how to read labs, understanding how to listen to your client and listen very well and take very good notes and layer that with the lab data so that you can, give them a protocol, give them guidance on all of the areas of their health, so that over time they can get to where they want to be. It's a process. But yeah, I'm really thankful for having you on and can't wait to do that again with you. Where can people find you online?
So I am on Instagram and TikTok. I post pretty frequently on Wellness by Veda. It's VEDA. And then I also have a website, which is wellnessbyveda.com.
Awesome. I'll put all of that in the description below and link everything so it's really easy to find her. If you would like to book with Veda or me and you're in a chronic health situation, we would be overjoyed to help you no matter what you're dealing with, whether it's mold, Lyme. If it's driven by inflammation, FDNs can help you with whatever you're going through, 100%. Thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, thank you. Bye.